Hi guys, and welcome back to the Moaning Yorkshireman, and welcome back to the Answers to Your Questions video. That's right, you've submitted some fantastic questions in my recent announcement of a Q&A. You've put your questions down below in the comment section of that video, and now I'm going to answer them all in chronological order, starting with the oldest, so the first person to ask will get their question answered first, until the newest towards the end. This will potentially split into two videos because we've got a lot of questions from a lot of different people as always. It's great to see so many people still really engaged with the channel. It's absolutely fantastic. We've got the regulars, the familiar faces to the comments section, and we've got some new people as well, which is absolutely fantastic, or some less known faces, shall we say. So yeah, absolutely thrilled. Thank you so much everyone for your love and continued support as always, and thanks for asking questions, because when I put a video out asking people to ask me for questions, you never know what the response is going to be. You always know, like, there's going to be a couple of familiar faces, but you never know how it's going to go. But we've had some great questions from some great people, so let's get started, shall we? Like I said, it's potentially going to be a two-part of this, but we'll see how we get on answering these, see how long it takes us, and we'll see where we get up to. But we'll kick things off with Laurie, of course, a familiar face of the channel. There you go. Kicks it off with three great questions. And his first one is, what's been your least favourite job? I mean, that's interesting, really. I've had quite an illustrious working career, motorsport, airports, caring, and they've all got their own pros and cons, really. Least favourite job? What's been my least favourite job? I suppose if you're going to go in, I'm going to cheat, Laurie, because none of them, I mean, every job has a bad bit, every day, every shift, everything you do has some bad days and good days. But I think the one that used to get to me most was when we were in motorsport and I used to do the tyres. And you used to have to, the tyres had barcodes on them and you were only allowed a certain amount of allocation for the weekend. I used to do 2 cars allocations. And if that number was a digit wrong, you were in big trouble, and you had to make sure you got it right, and then you had to submit it to Renault for a certain time. This was slicks and wets, even if you didn't use wet tyres. So you're allocated 4 sets of wets per weekend per car, 4 sets of slicks per weekend per car. 2 had to be used, 2 had to be new sets, and you had I mean, obviously sometimes you went from race weekend to race weekend, and you just had a lorry full of tyres, and you're trying to work them out. And yeah, that was a least favourite part of the job in motorsport. That was a lot of clerical things, and you had to be spot on. There was no help. It was just me that did it. No one else understood what to do, and if it was wrong, then it was down to me. Thankfully, I never got it wrong. But yeah, that was a very stressful job, that, because you had to get it submitted on the Thursday. Thursday was your setup day, and we only used to be a small team, and when you've only got 4 people building awnings, building cars, setting all the bullshit boarding up, setting all the hospitality unit up, getting the truck sorted out after unloading it all, tidying it all up, making it look pristine, washing the truck, you had so much to do. And then by Thursday at 6 o'clock you were like, where's the tyres, where's the tyre barcodes? You're like, oh, please leave me alone, I've not even got the tyres out yet. So that was a stressful part to a job that did have many stressful moments, but that one was like, I was very much on my own. No one else understood that, apart from me and the team. Couldn't go to anyone for help. If there was a mistake, it was down to me. So that was quite stressful, that. But thankfully I never got anything wrong, and everything was always alright. Thomas and the engineers scrutineers that used to do the barcoding stuff were always well sound with me. They used to make sure that I was the last team that they came to, because they knew we were the smallest team in the paddock, so give me as much time as possible to get the tyres done. They were great, there were no problems at all, but sometimes when things had gone really wrong and we were still putting flooring down, and it was just a nightmare. And some days they were like, come on Josh, we need to go home now, where's the codes? And I'm like, please just give me 5 more minutes. So yeah, that was a stressful moment in a particular job, and that was my least favourite job within an overall job role. But in terms of jobs I've actually done, there's not been a job where I've just been like packing boxes or anything and really hated it. So good first question, that one, Laurie. We had an in-depth one. What's your favourite karaoke memory? Well, you'll see on my YouTube channel, the start of this year, it was uploaded. It was the end of last year I did it. I performed Natasha Bedingfield's Unwritten with a blonde wig on to 2,500 people at Manchester Academy for Bandioki, supporting my favourite band, the Lottery Winners. And yeah, that was my 5 minutes of fame, and it was really funny because I was told by the band that everyone that went on for Bandioki and everyone that they'd chosen for Bandioki couldn't sing. It was just going to be light-hearted, no one could sing. I was on second to last out of the 8 that they'd selected to perform. and the first 6 went up and they could all sing really well, got the crowd really engaged, did a fantastic job. We had someone doing Prodigy Firestarter, we had Mamma Mia, ABBA, we had someone doing Wonderwall, Oasis. Yeah, there was a lot to it. There was a lot of people that were really good. We did a James sit down. There was people doing some fantastic songs. They were really talented. They were actual artists, you know, they could actually sing. And then this idiot turned up with a blonde wig on. I was like, oh God, this is going to go on 2 days. And thankfully, the whole crowd was really responsive. They absolutely loved it. They knew I was just there to have a bit of fun and take the piss, and they loved it. And that is probably going to be one of the greatest memories I've ever got, not just in terms of karaoke, but yeah, that was a great one. And the third and final question from Laurie is, will you do a video reacting to your old videos? I think this is a question I've been asked before, and I said potentially I would, but at the same time, like, I know I'm going to be embarrassed by my early videos, but I keep them on because it was the start of the channel, it was the start of this journey, wasn't it? So, yeah, potentially one day I might do a reaction video, but I think reaction videos to your early stuff is always when you're a bit low on content. He says while he's doing a Q&A. But, yeah, I always think, like, you know, the past is in the past. If you want to go watch it and react to it, I'm sure you can. There's still the odd comment pops up from old videos, even now, where people are like, wow, look how far you've come from a grainy camera where you could hardly see your face to what you're doing now. And that's great to see. So, yeah, would I do a reaction video to my old videos? Maybe at some point, if the timing was right. I'm coming up to 10-year anniversary. I've got 9 years this year. So maybe a 10th anniversary special, reacting to a couple of my early videos, who knows. But, yeah, never say never, but it's not something that's on my agenda. I would say that, Laurie. But thank you for your 3 questions. They were really good. The second one comes from a newish face to the channel, has commented before, and I'm a massive fan of his channel. I couldn't believe I wasn't actually subscribed. I watch him on my telly when I'm getting like late night, just chill out, watch a bit of YouTube on telly before bed. And it's SB10FE. Now, if you haven't seen his videos, go check him out. He's all Formula E content. He does some fantastic ones. He's done one about Nelson Piquet, the downfall of him. He's done one about Nicolas Prost, the downfall of him. He's done loads of things, all Formula E related. They're really good in-depth videos, really informative, and I absolutely love him. And his first question, of course, is, what is your favourite Formula E race memory? Now, the one that always springs to mind is the first ever wet race that they had in Paris in season, it was the Gen 2 era, season 5, and it was the first ever time anything had ever been wet, and that race was absolute chaos. So that really, really just like, you know, that is always the forefront of my mind. Just that absolute race was chaos, absolute chaos, and I'll never forget that. And I don't know why, but that is just my first memory that springs to mind. But favourite Formula E race memory, I've got to say this year was nice to see Lola get a podium in their first season at Miami. That was really good to see. It's been nice to see Dan Tinctum as well find his feet. As much as a lot of people criticise him, I have been highly critical of him. This year has really come to fruition. Done an amazing job for an underfunded, underpowered team. They've got that Porsche powertrain in the back of it, and it's been great to see him get a couple. But did he get 2 podiums? We got a podium and a win, didn't he? But I don't know if he got 2 podiums, 1 win, like 3 total. But I can't quite remember. But yeah, he's done such a great job. He's done really well, and that's been nice to see. So there's been a lot of memories from this year that have been really good. Of course, Taylor Barnard this year being an absolute incredible asset to the championship, being a rookie as well. And then looking back further into the past, it was really nice to see Degrassi get a title after coming so close on the first 2 seasons. Yeah, there's a load of little bits, but the one that always springs to mind is that first ever wet race in Paris, because that was absolute chaos. And the second question is, favourite type of cookie? Has to be double chocolate chip, doesn't it? The more chocolate, the better for me when it comes to anything in life, particularly cookies. Great 2 questions there, buddy. Thank you so much for the continued support as well with the series, because he says he's always been watching the Formula E Cruel Corners, and that's really, really cool. So, yeah, thank you so much for watching the videos and for commenting and leaving a couple of questions. Paddock Lesbians is the third person to ask several questions, because he just always fails to abide by the rules. One of these days he's going to fail to abide by the rules, and I'm going to block him from the channel. Let me just have a sip of tea. Yorkshire, of course. His first question is, have you got electricity in Yorkshire yet? Only just. Only just. I have to go to the library to go and edit these videos because that's where they've got electricity. At home we've just got a little coal fire that we all sit and huddle around. We've got a tin bath. We have a bath once a week in there. And for entertainment we've got a skipping rope and a hula hoop. So there you are. That's the first one. Second question. Oh, there you go. Second question. Yorkshire tea or Tetley? Has to be Yorkshire, doesn't it? Has to be Yorkshire. I'll have another sip now. Yorkshire tea. The tea leaves still come from India, but there you go, Yorkshire tea. Third question, what's it like to be the second best Yorkshireman on Dave's channel? I disagree, I am the favourite of Dave, and there's no way anyone else can tell me otherwise. Question 4, which airport is better, Doncaster Sheffield or Leeds Bradford? Well, considering Doncaster Sheffield Airport is shut down and has been for a number of years, and they've just made an announcement that it's not likely to reopen until 2028 now, despite the people from above telling us, oh, it's going to be next March, 2026. Load of bollocks, I knew it weren't reopening. I'd have to go Leeds Bradford, but Leeds Bradford is a terrible airport, it's absolutely awful, and if you've got any option other than Leeds Bradford to fly to, choose that one. Choose that one because Leeds Bradford is a terrible airport. So in terms of which airport is better, when it was open it'd be Doncaster Sheffield, but now it's shut. I'm afraid I'm going to have to take you to Leeds for that one, but please use anything other than that airport because it's absolutely diabolically bad. Question 5, who would you rather be stuck on a desert island with, Lance Stroll, Nikita Mazepin or the Yorkshire Ripper? I mean, you know, definitely not Mazepin, but Lance Stroll, I think I'd probably get on quite well with him in terms of him being a human being. I mean, he might just throw his toys out the pram because he's, you know, ran out of something expensive. But, you know, and the Yorkshire Ripper, I mean, I don't really want to say it, but he only went for women, so I'll probably be alright. Yeah. I think I'd choose Lance Stroll on that one though. I'll definitely choose Lance Stroll. The more I think about it, the worse it gets. Lance Stroll, I would definitely choose to be on a desert island with Lance Stroll and no one else. Okay, one actual serious question. What would be your realistic ideal calendar for Formula 1 and Formula E? Well, Formula 1, 20 races is an absolute max, 18 as the ideal for me. I think this 24, 25 race calendars are getting too silly, it's too much. These sprint formats are stupid, sack that off, get rid of them. It's becoming more of a every weekly basis, you know, there's a race every week, there's triple headers, there's double headers, there's always a race every couple of weeks apart from the summer break. And yeah, I don't like it. I really don't like it. In terms of Formula E, the calendar that they've got at the minute is quite nice. They've just gone up to 18 rounds for next season. Of course, a couple of them are double headers, but that's fine because a double header to them is Saturday, Sunday, as opposed to that week, that week, that week. So I think Formula E with their 18 rounds total, which is over the course of 10 or 11 weeks, I think it is, that's fine. That's an ideal. Don't do any more than that. That's perfect. Especially the way that the calendar falls, starting towards the end of December and finishing in around June, July time. It's a good little one, that. So keep that as it is. Formula E, drop some races. I'm not bothered particularly. Of course, I am bothered what's on the calendar, but I think it's a far too big a question to go in. But if we have 18 races a season, you know which circuits I'd get rid of immediately. Stuff like Qatar, Abu Dhabi, it'd be gone. Las Vegas would be gone, Miami would be gone. So, you know, you've got enough room then to get rid of the shit ones. And even with 18 to 20 races, you've got options then to rotate. You know, you can have something like Imola one year and then you could swap to Nürburgring for the next, stuff like that. But it's never going to happen. But we can dream. Good questions. Thank you very much, Paddock Lesbians. Helen Ballinger is the next one, of course. Another familiar face of the channel. Hello, hello, Helen. If you could have a breakfast in bed one morning, what would you choose? A full English or parts of a full English, pancakes or croissants? Well, a breakfast in bed for me would be incredibly messy because I am a very messy eater. Doesn't matter how much I try, doesn't matter how posh the setting is, I will be slopping something down me. So the least messy of those would be pancakes, because croissants I get all over in terms of crumbs. English breakfast, there'd be beans, tomato juice, all down the bedding, all down my top. It'd be a right mess. So it'd have to be pancakes, because even with a bit of golden syrup, slops down you, you're fine. A bit of pancake, you can pick it up and eat it. So I would have to have pancakes in bed. Thank you for that question, Helen. Question 2. If you could meet 3 of the current Formula 1 drivers, which 3 would you choose and which 3 would you not? Okay, so the 3 I would choose would be Nick Hulkenberg. I would love to have a chat to him. Honestly, I think he's a great guy, great driver, and I'd ask him all about how his year's gone so far with Sauber, what it would like to get his first podium. It would be really nice. So Nick Hulkenberg would be straight away number 1. I would like to speak to Carlos Sainz. I think he's another top guy, another top driver. Great personality on and off track, but isn't too forward, you know what I mean? He's not got this sort of attitude about him, and really, really nice. Third one, I mean, that's hard to choose because I'd love to speak to someone like Lando Norris or George Russell. See if they remember me from the motorsport days when they were racing with different teams in the same championship, or when they tested for us. That'd be quite nice to see if they actually remember this idiot. Probably not, it's been about 10 years ago now, but you never know, you never know. Someone like Alex Albon to ask how his season's gone, you know, what's it like to be Sainz. Pierre Gasly, I think he'd be a great guy. I think he'd be a great guy for a night out, actually. I think Pierre Gasly's got that kind of great night out kind of personality about him. I'd love to speak to Lewis Hamilton, see what his genuine thoughts were on Abu Dhabi 21. And what it's like to be one of the most successful drivers in Formula 1. I think he'd be a great chat. Alonso would be a great chat. Yeah, there's so many. There's so many. But out of the 3, so I'm definitely going Hulkenberg. I have to go Hulkenberg. I definitely have to go Sainz because I just think there's something about him. And I would pick Pierre Gasly. Only if that chat could then lead to a night out. If it couldn't lead to a night out, then I go Alex Albon because I think he'd be a great guy to speak to. Yeah, there's too many that I would. 3 that I wouldn't. 3 that I wouldn't choose. I wouldn't choose Lance Stroll because what's the point? I probably wouldn't choose, and this is going to sound really harsh, but I probably wouldn't choose like Antonelli or Ollie Behrman because like they're so much younger than I am, and it's not like they've got much lived experience that we can relate to in a conversation. If we're only having a general chat about the world, you know, those 2 guys haven't really lived in the world enough yet to maybe understand it all, and that's no disrespect against them. I think they're great guys, great drivers, but yeah, probably Antonelli and Behrman I wouldn't really speak to, just for the simple fact that we wouldn't really have much in common. But I wouldn't speak to Lance Stroll because, I mean, why would I? I mean, if I'd choose to stick with get stuck on a desert island with him if I had to, out of Nikita Mazepin or the Yorkshire Ripper, but out of not choosing who to speak to, I wouldn't choose him. So yeah, no disrespect against Antonelli or Behrman with that one, but yeah, just wouldn't have anything in common to actually have a conversation with. I think there'd be a lot of silence. So yeah, Ellen, great questions. Thanks for your response, and good stuff. Adam Jow, of course, my buddy. How are you doing, Adam? Hope you're doing well. His 3 questions are: favourite Formula 1 season, all things considered, has to be 2009, just for everything. The rulebook turned on its head, Braun coming in and winning the first few races, Red Bull then playing catch-up and getting really tight towards the end. Force India, of course, my favourite team, getting a podium and a pole position in Spa. So many underdog stories that year that did well. Kamui Kobayashi coming in, replacing the injured Glock, and him having some fantastic duels and battles and races and scoring points. So yeah, that 2009 season had it all, and I think that one will be etched in my memory for a long, long time. So yeah, definitely my favourite season, all things considered, especially one that I know so well because I lived it, I was there for it. So yeah, good question. Fish, chips or curry? Fish and chips or curry is his second question. I'd have to go curry. I love a good curry. I don't like anything too spicy, but it's tikka masala, chicken korma. I know, boring, but I absolutely adore curries because what comes with curry, you get your naan bread, you get your onion bhajis, you get your samosas, and I love them as well. So whereas fish and chips, it's just fish and chips with mushy peas or gravy, curry sauce, that kind of thing. But yeah, if I had to choose out of those 2, it would be a curry. But that don't mean I don't love a good chippy either. And then his third and final question is favourite BTCC car from any era. 1995 Vauxhall Cavalier for me. John Cleland clinching the title in that. Unfortunately, I was too young to actually live that, but watching the videos back, I was a big John Cleland fan. I think he's such a character, and that car was absolutely stunning to look at. It was really quick on track. Absolutely loved it. And yeah, I'm very, very happy that they made a model of that at last. Atlas Editions produced the 95 Cavalier, and I'm thrilled to have it in my collection. So yeah, 1995 Vauxhall Cavalier for that one. Thank you for your questions, Adam. Spec Minus, another regular to the channel, asks a couple of questions. His first question is, would you say your career in motorsport is behind you now, or are you open to returning to it someday? Great question, this. Great question. I left motorsport now in 2016, so 9 years ago. It was November 2016 I walked away. And I have since had, I would say, 3 to 4 genuine offers to go back, like, you say yes and we'll get a job for you on Monday kind of thing in that time since. One most recently being the end of last year. But I've always turned them down, and it's mainly for the fact that I think I am done with it now. 10 years out of something is a long time, nearly 10 years. It's a long time to be out of something. A lot changes, a lot happens, and when I was in motorsport, that was my life. You know, Adam, who's just asked the questions, he'd be the first to verify that we didn't see each other for quite a long time, because my whole life from 2011 to 2016 was motorsport. That was it. I got 2 weeks off for Christmas and New Year, and we got a week off in either July or August, depending on how the calendar fell, for us to have a week off. And that was really it. That was really it. You didn't get any other time off, because you're always working Monday to Friday in the workshop. You're always out testing. You're always out at the race weekends, which of course then affects your weekends. Your testing affects your weekends as well, for the most part. Or if the testing's on Monday, you'd have to get to the circuit Sunday, so then you're in the workshop Saturday setting the car up. You know, so you'd have a lot of weekend ruins. I didn't have, you know, any sort of social life. So, you know, it's a job that consumes your life, and I don't think a lot of people are fully aware of that, especially in the lower down categories, that you do everything. You know, you're not just the mechanic for that car. You just don't book the flights. You just don't deal with hospitality. When you are in a lower level of Formula series or touring car series, you'll be a number one mechanic, you'll be the truckie, you'll be the hospitality, you'll be the tyre technician, you'll be doing everything. You'll be doing literally everything. You'll be thin on the ground. As I mentioned earlier, you know, we had four staff in our team to run 2 cars. That includes tyres, fuel, setup, everything, damage, travel, everything. We had four people, and yeah, it was very consuming in my life, and I left because I was genuinely done with it. You know, I'd lived all my late teens and my early 20s in motorsport, and didn't have the experiences that a lot of people my age had, you know. So yeah, so I walked away, and it's not a decision I ever regret. Do I miss it? Absolutely. The highlights and the good times that we have had, I mean, I've done some things that, you know, most people in life would never get to do, and I'm really thankful for that. I'm really grateful for the opportunities I've been given. But I was young, I was naive, I worked a lot of hours for not a lot of reward, for not a lot of pay. And, you know, if I went into things, you know, as a 31-year-old now, and going into it, and I'd go in with a new mindset, and if things started to not look right, I'd be telling them, no, we're not doing it this way. And then it'd probably be like, well, this is motorsport, get on with it kind of vibe. So, and I wouldn't be down for that. So, no, I have had offers to go back in the time I've been away, but it's not something that I would really, I mean, it'd have to be a really, really, really good offer. Like, it'd have to be like, look, it's 50 grand a year, you're just going to sit in an office and book flights and accommodation for everyone. I'd do that, no problem. It's 50 grand a year, all you're going to do is make sure T-earn's filled up and hospitality's happy. You get to travel around Europe just for race weekends doing that, for families and drivers. Yeah, brilliant, I'd do that. You know, but the offers I've had are just very much like life consuming. Again, so no, great question though, really great question, and I've pondered that, but yeah, it'd have to be a stupidly good offer with not much work and a lot of pay, and that doesn't happen in motorsport, so no, not something that I'd look at returning to, but a great question, and yeah, I'm grateful for the time I had. I've lived experiences that not many people will, and I'm so thankful for them, but you know, one door closes, another door opens, and I've met so many lifelong friends after leaving motorsport, not just having friends in motorsport as well, but lifelong friends because I went to a new venture working at the airport and stuff. yeah, and I'm grateful for that as well. So never say never, but it'd have to be a very good offer. His second question is, do you still own those bamboo boxer shorts? If so, why haven't you become a worldwide sex symbol? Well, what can I say? I do still own them, to the point where I ended up picking up another couple of pair. I've also got a green pair and an orange pair, as well as the black that I tried on as well. And why I haven't become a worldwide sex symbol is because everyone will be jealous, mate. Could you just imagine me just everywhere, the front page of every magazine, every newspaper, every news article on Facebook, just like, this is Josh Stocks and he is the ultimate epitome of a sex symbol. And you know, people have offered me millions of pounds to do it. You know, they really have. They've rang up and been like, Josh, we've seen your video of you trying them boxers on and you definitely weren't shoveling 7 pair of socks down your thing to make your package look bigger. You know, we'd really love to sign you up. And I'd be like, no, sorry, let someone else do it, because I'm quite happy in my humble abode knowing I'm a sex symbol without the recognition. How's that for an answer? And then the last, he says, side note, if Hamilton somehow stops being washed up and wins a Grand Prix for Ferrari, I will make a nicely edited highlights reel of you losing your shit every time he wins during a race. Please, Hamilton, win. I would love to see that happen. That'd be great. Thanks for your questions, buddy, and thanks for that. I genuinely love it. So, Hamilton, if you're listening, summer season's almost over. Get your sense sorted out, mate. The next question comes from Caledonia F1. Hi, buddy. Hope you're all right. He asks a couple of questions. His first one is there an edition of the cruel wall / room or corner that you look at now and think, I really scored them too high, or vice versa? The Formula E ones are really difficult to score, actually, because we don't find out the whole information until a few days later, and by that point, if I'd have waited until I got all the information, the video would be a week late. So the cruel corners, especially the Formula E stuff, there's some drivers I've scored them like a 6 or a 7, not really knowing how they ended up down the order, but then you'll find out via the team radio thing that they upload or the onboard footage that they upload onto YouTube a few days later. You'll find out it was actually their own fault what happened, and then you'll be like, well, I would have given them one of the week or would have scored them a lot less. In terms of Formula 1, I'm quite happy with how I score them. I think I know most things at the time of recording. Sometimes I have to record immediately after the race has ended because of timing, obviously, with work and things. So sometimes I might get it occasionally wrong. But for the most part, the ones that really stick out are the cruel corners, because I have to upload, record, edit in a really difficult time frame with work and around work. And most of the time I even say in the video, I'm scoring him a 6. It might be totally wrong that it was his fault or his own doing or something, and then you find out that it wasn't actually his fault. It got taken out by another driver I scored highly. So yeah, it swings and roundabouts with the cruel corner, but over the season it will average out because I tend to score them lower the race after, knowing that I scored them too high in the previous round, or vice versa. His second question comes in the form of, have you had a crack at Facebook Marketplace since your rant video about it? If so, what experiences did you have? Yeah, I've used it a lot of times after, actually. I had this brief period where I was able to get loads of Nintendo Wiis for cheap. You're talking like £5–10 for a complete Nintendo Wii with the remote, everything working. I used to stick a couple of 50p games with it from Cash Exchange and sell them on Facebook Marketplace for like 25–30 quid. Shh, don't tell the tax man. Fucking hell, they'll be listening in now, won't they? But yeah, I've done that, and I did that, God, loads of times. I must have sold about 35 Wiis, and they all went relatively without hitch. People just used to come to the door, not bar to be down, just say, look, 30 quid, yeah, 30's fine, cheers mate, thanks, bye, and they used to pick them up no problem. So yeah, I think when you're putting up more specialist items, then I think you're going to get the knobheads, the idiots, the high value items. People will just want them for free, want them for nothing, and they'll really make a big song and dance about that you are privileged and you will give me this for nothing. But when you're selling Nintendo Wiis for 25–30 quid, there's not really much to it, is there? You know, he's even used to include just a couple of AA batteries with it, just so the remote would work, and it will plug and play. You know, you could literally just plug it in and go. And yeah, so I've sold loads after, and I've not really had any issues. So, you know, there's been some people. I had a weird incident where someone sent me the money in advance because they wanted to send it via PayPal. I'm like, yeah, that's fine, send it via PayPal. So they paid me the money and then just never came and collected it. And I was like, well, are you okay? And then wouldn't respond to messages. It wasn't a scam, you know. I'd had a long conversation with this person. I'm like, well, where's your address? Do you want me to drop it off? I was trying to be really helpful and then never got anything back, so I just sent the money back. But that was really weird. But apart from that, no dramas. So yeah, I've had a lot more success since. I think, like I say, lower cheap items, you don't tend to get the idiots. If you're selling anything high value, that's when your idiots get. I can imagine if you're trying to sell a car on Facebook Marketplace, like an actual car, I think that'd be filled with issues. His third and final question comes from, have you bought any games recently that you thought weren't great or rubbish? No, not really. I've not really been into gaming that much of recently, to be honest. I've not bought much at all. No, I can't think I've bought anything. The only things I've been buying are things that I've bought back. So things like in my PS2 and PS1 collections that I had as a kid, sold at car boot, sold just give to charity shops because I got a new PS3 or got a new PS2, and I've been buying those games back. So those games obviously are now a little bit terrible compared to what I remember them, but they're not bad games. You know, they've not aged well, and nostalgia overrules how bad the game actually plays. So I don't think I've bought any game recently, you know, like Red Dead Redemption 2 and thought, oh, that were crap or something like that. I've just been buying older stuff really, and really enjoyed playing the games I used to play as a kid, even if they have aged badly. Great questions though, thank you so much for those, buddy. Next one comes up, Viper Racing Brad. How you doing, buddy? How you doing? Hope you're well, he says. I am good, thank you, bud. Not got many questions, but here we go. Best pickup from any car boot sale ever. I think my recent video with that will really prove it. Picked up a Super Nintendo entertainment system in a box with a load of cartridges. It was just missing one of the wires, which I've since picked up, so there's going to be a video of me trying to see if that works. I've not tried it yet, so I don't honestly know the answer to whether it works or not. And a Sega Master System in the same box, and it came to a grand total of £20 for the box, and I think that's a great buy, especially if they work. If they don't work, I've not lost out on much, but my excitement when I saw those in a box just underneath a pace table, I was like, wow, when am I ever going to see these, like ever, let alone at a car boot sale in a box for 20 quid. So that was really good. Slightly off topic in terms of, you know, car boot, but I also picked up that video DVD recorder for £5 at a charity shop, and that was a bargain because that was selling for like 150 quid on eBay, which is crazy. The remote half works and half doesn't, but I've tested everything else and it all works absolutely fine. So yeah, I've still got that and I'm still not using it, but I need to work out what I'm going to do with that because yeah, it's just sitting around at the minute. But £5 for that was a real good buy. With half a remote working, weird, half the right hand side works, the left hand side doesn't on the TV remote, which is a bit weird, but yeah, you know, I can't argue for a fiver, can I? And second question from him, favourite F1 team from the 2000s? Has to be Force India. They started in 2008. I was a big fan of the new teams when they came in 2006, which of course was Midland, Toro Rosso and Super Aguri. Super Aguri of course started and ended in the 2000s era, sadly. Yeah, I would probably say it'd have to be Force India because they did well in 2008. You know, new team, didn't score any points but came close on a couple of occasions. 2009 of course, getting the first podium as already mentioned, and I was a big Force India fan, so it would have to be Force India. Sorry, it's a cop out, and if I'm not allowed Force India, it'd have to be Super Aguri. Great questions, thanks Brad. Will F1, of course. Will F1 is another one that has answered several questions and more than I asked him to, but nonetheless he doesn't follow the rules. And neither will I. Let's see how we get on. Question 1. Which F1 drivers, past and present, do you think are most overrated? Ooh, great question. So, current grid then. Current grid, overrated. Current grid, overrated. I would say Antonelli at the minute, to be honest with you. He's a rookie that really hasn't delivered. I know he had that podium at Canada, but his teammate won that race. And he's had a lot of poor performances, particularly in qualifying, that have then ended his races. He's supposed to be this new young protege that's coming in and going to be winning everything. He's had a car that's been capable of podiums on several occasions, has only delivered one podium so far, and has not really been doing that well. So present, I would say Kimi Antonelli. I would also say there's still a lot of hype surrounding Lewis Hamilton, and he's not coming to fruition, is it? So sorry, Lewis Hamilton fans, but this season he's been a bit bad, hasn't he? He has been a bit bad. In the past, I would have to say Jacques Villeneuve. I don't think that's an unexpected one, but he won the title, of course, with a great car, absolutely fantastic car, and then, of course, once he didn't have a car capable of doing anything in it, or he just never did anything ever again, and ended up getting sacked midway through the 2006 season because he was awful. I would say he was a definite... who else? Overrated. Yeah, it's a difficult one. I mean, Valtteri Bottas has definitely been overrated. The fact he's coming back to Cadillac now is an absolute joke. Perez I kind of get, because of course we've had 2 more drivers attempt to drive that second Red Bull car, in Lawson and Tsunoda, and they still can't. So it's not just Perez. So I'm glad Perez has come back, but Bottas was beaten by Zhou Guanyu last season in that Sauber. And I'm not just talking in terms of points. I'm talking in regards to the fact that those last few races when Sauber got those updates, Zhou Guanyu was doing some great qualifying performances and getting close to points. Bottas was nowhere near him, so Bottas is massively overrated as well. Second question. Which ex-Formula E drivers would you like to return to the series? First one that always pops to mind is Oliver Askew. I think he should have had another season at Andretti without a shadow of a doubt. There were some good performances from him here and there. Don't get me wrong, he was inexperienced and there was a few rookie errors, but for the most part, I think he was a good all-rounder and could have developed into a great all-rounder and been a fantastic second driver for Jake Hughes. But as it was, he only lasted the season, never saw him again. And I think that's a travesty, because I think he would have done really well staying at Andretti, or if someone like Neo at the time had picked him up, you know, for the ERT squad that's now since turned into Kiro, I think he'd have been a fantastic asset to a team like that. Someone like Maserati as well, someone like Lola that have just come in as a new team. I think he would be a great staple for someone like those kind of teams. I really do. But unfortunately, we only saw him for the one season, and I think he deserved a lot more. So he's the first driver that springs to mind, and the driver that I would stick with for that. He was a good driver. I think he had potential. Question 3. Would you rather spend a day with all the women on Paddock 43, joined by Jess McFadden and Naomi Schiff, or David Croft and Jonathan Ledyard, shouting and commentating every second of the day? Well, I mean, Jonathan Ledyard would just say problems. David Croft would keep getting my name wrong, which would be infuriating. I think I'm going to have to go Paddock 43 with Jess and Naomi Schiff, unfortunately, because Paddock 43 I've never really seen. I don't really know what they're like. Jess McFadden annoys me. Naomi Schiff, I think, is getting better in her role in Formula 1, but I still don't think she's fantastic. But David Croft and Jonathan Ledyard, I'd end up murdering them. So potentially, yeah, I probably could say, yeah, I'd do that and then murder them. But they would they'll probably drive me to death, actually. So yeah, definitely Paddock 43 with Jess and Naomi. Question 4. What sports activity would you rather take part in? Boxing with Dave and TB the Bear, cricket with Matthew Gallagher, or tennis with Lance Stroll? Tennis with Lance Stroll, because it'd be over a lot quicker, because apparently he's good at tennis, and he'd be like, look, let's just play 3 sets and just bish bash bosh, done. I lose, he wins me hand down, and we get to go home. There's a lot of Lance Stroll questions, and so far I'd spend time on a desert island with him, wouldn't want to have a conversation with him, but I would play tennis with him. Very unusual this so far, isn't it? What a love-hate relationship we're having with Lance Stroll. Question 5. Would you rather go out for a meal with Helmut Marko and Christian Horner, or Lance Stroll and Lawrence Stroll, or Dave, F1 Games PlayStation, and Carmen Jorda? Would I rather go... Probably Dave and Carmen Jorda, to be fair. That'd be great entertainment, just watching Dave, for the police to arrive for sexual harassment and him get, pepper sprayed and locked into the back of a police van. It'd be quite entertaining. Definitely, I'm going to go for Dave, F1 Games PlayStation, and Carmen Jorda. It would definitely be an interesting love triangle, that, wouldn't it? And then he also puts the famous Yorkshireman, linking to the fact that I said I was famous in the Q&A, which, of course, I am, and a sex symbol, Anna, and a sex symbol. Lee Watts asks a couple of questions. Hope you're doing well, buddy. If you were the Mercedes team principal, would you replace Russell with Verstappen or keep Russell and Antonelli? I wouldn't replace Russell with Verstappen, but I would replace Antonelli. I would have Russell and Verstappen as my driver lineup at Mercedes if I was the team principal. But as per his questions, would I swap Russell with Verstappen or keep Russell and Antonelli? You haven't given me the option to swap Verstappen for Antonelli, so I would have to keep Russell and Antonelli. And what's your opinions on Renault replacing Hülkenberg with Ocon in 2020? I think, in all honesty, looking at the grand scheme of things, it did Hülkenberg the world of good, because we saw his super sub performances because he was out of Formula 1 for that season and kept coming in to replace the Force India drivers, Racing Point drivers I should say, of course when they got struck down with Corona. And that was the super subs that ultimately got him back onto the grid for Haas in 22. And I think had he just stayed at Renault, he'd have just faded away, probably left Renault at the end of 2020 and then never had anything else. So I think in some ways, in hindsight, it worked out better for Hülkenberg that he was able to have that season away, because he wasn't ever truly away and was able to show what he was worth in just a few rounds with not much experience in the car, but still pick up really good qualifying positions and really good points for a team that just needed a driver to do that. So I actually think in the grand scheme of things, it was probably for the best, especially looking at how Alpine turned out as well. If Hülkenberg was going to be stayed on for the long term, the team quickly became a joke, didn't it, after it became Alpine. So yeah, there you go. Honest question, I think it did him good. Samsea asks a couple of questions. Thank you, Samsea. He asks, what are your thoughts on AI generated images and videos? It's dangerous and I just wish it wasn't a thing. It's awful. It's awful. I mean, it's not just like losing people's jobs in terms of like AI can do what you used to be able to do and things like that. You know, there's even editing software now that's all AI and will let you do it for you. I mean, I don't know to what quality, but I know that's coming in now. So that's getting rid of people that have got editing experience and things like that. It's getting rid of just in jobs in terms of like creating cartoon images. AI is really good at that. You don't need someone to design anything now, because you just chuck it in AI what you want and it chucks it back. So I think images and videos for AI are dangerous. They're only going to get better as well. It's only going to get better, and this is where it's going to become concerning, because at what point are they going to make AI videos of someone doing things inappropriate, you know, things that are illegal, and are going to get done for it because it's AI generated and no one can prove otherwise. You know what I mean? If it's someone that's got a vendetta, say for example I got a vendetta against my friend, I would make something of that friend beating me up or something. I would testify, he would say it didn't happen. I'd get a couple of friends to testify for me, and the AI would be that good that you wouldn't be able to decipher, and I think it's dangerous. So AI is the worst thing to ever happen to human history for a long, long time, and it's only going to get worse, and it's just a slippery slope that this world continues to go down where we're not going to have anything left. So yeah, AI is awful. And in the second question, I don't know if you've watched it, but what are your opinions on the Pixar Cars movie trilogy 1, 2 and 3? Cars 1 is absolutely unbelievable. It's a staple. It's incredible. I still watch it to this day. It's fantastic. Cars 2 is absolutely diabolically awful, and I wish it never existed. And Cars 3, if it's on at Christmas or if it's on the telly at any other time, I'll give it a watch, but I'm not religiously into it. I think it's a good one, but it's not incredible. So 1 is just honestly legendary. It's up there with like Toy Story for me. It's absolutely incredible. Cars 2, I wish it didn't exist. And Cars 3, it's okay to watch on a chilled out day if there's nothing else to do, but I'm not that heavily invested in it. Great question. Thank you, Samsea. Vettel Hamilton 6500. Good to see you, buddy. Hope you're doing well. Asks a couple of questions. What's your opinion on Kevin Magnussen leaving Haas in 2020? Of course, people thought it was his final season in F1 before the whole Russia thing happened. What's your opinion leaving? Again, probably a right thing to happen for Kevin, because again, he was able to come back like what Hülkenberg was able to do and prove what he was capable of straight away in 2022. He only took 2021 out, and that was when Haas did no development on a really bad 2020 car and went into 2021 with a really bad car. So it didn't cost Kevin Magnussen anything in terms of his career. He was able to get his position back into the team he left, without any issue, and he was able to deliver some great results, a pole position as well, and some great point finishes. So him not being in for 2021 didn't make any difference at all, because Kevin Magnussen wasn't going to score points in it. No one was going to score points in that 2021 Haas. So yeah, probably made them realise how much of an importance it was to have experience over money and youth, because 2021, that's all they had, and it didn't work out. So yeah, I think it again probably did his career good. Question 2. What are your unpopular opinions on current F1 champions from 2005 to now? And those champions are Fernando Alonso, Kimi Raikkonen, Lewis Hamilton, Jenson Button, Sebastian Vettel, Nico Rosberg, Max Verstappen, and now in 2025, one of the McLaren drivers. So unpopular opinions for the McLaren drivers of 2025. I honestly believe that neither of them are particularly worthy of the title this year. If one driver's going to win it, it's going to be Oscar. It has to be Oscar, because my God, if Lando Norris wins this title, then the amount of times Norris has dropped the balls compared to Oscar Piastri is ridiculous. So if Norris somehow wins this, then I'm going to be very, very upset. We're not just Norris for winning it, but also Oscar, because it's a disgrace. So yeah, this year the car is carrying them and continues to carry them into a championship that they don't necessarily deserve. That's my unpopular opinion for that one. Max Verstappen, I just wish he wasn't a dick. Like, we've seen it again this year, we've seen it every year. He loses his head and he drives like a knob on 1 or 2 occasions throughout a season, and it's just not acceptable. And had it been me, I'd have ripped up his driver's licence for what he did to Russell in Spain this year, and for what he's done in the past as well. He's arrogant, he's obnoxious, and sometimes I feel, does he actually deserve a spot on the grid, just for these moments where it's like attempted murder, and I don't like it at all. So he's a great talent, but my God, it gets really infuriating at times with him. Nico Rosberg, I would say he was a great guy, but I wish he'd have stayed for 2017. I think he took the easy option out of retiring after he won a championship. I know that was his lifelong goal, and I knew that's what he'd always set out. He got a family, and that's what he always promised his family. When I win a title, I'll retire, and I do admire him for that, but I just wish he'd have done another season to see whether he would be able to deliver in new machinery in 2017, of course, new rules and regulations for that season. I just would have liked to have seen him alongside Hamilton again to see how he would compare with a new car. Sebastian Vettel, I mean, he just lost it, didn't he? He lost the plot. He was a great asset to Red Bull, but he was always the favoured child, even from the early seasons when there weren't title contenders. And, you know, he was their protege, and he was favoured over Mark Webber on several occasions. And I think had he not been favoured over Mark on certain ones of those, Webber would have had a title and not him. But there you go. But I can't deny his talent. And then, of course, towards the end of it, 2017 made too many errors. 2018 absolutely binned it and fluffed a title that he should have really won, and that was stupid. Jenson Button 2009. I honestly got nothing really bad to say, unpopular opinion about Jenson Button. I think he was a great guy. He was long overdue some race wins, and he finally got them 6 years in 2006, of course, from starting his career. I think he was troubled at the start of his career, and I think it's lucky he was able to stay on the grid as long as he was. You know, I think he was lucky that Honda found a home for him, BAR Honda, because without that, he'd have potentially been off the grid, especially if he'd gone to Williams, like it was all ever heavily rumoured and signed, and there was loads of legal battles. It was probably for the best that he stayed with the Honda team in the end, because that dispute of him going to Williams would have not landed him a career victory or titles or anything. Lewis Hamilton, great driver, whinges a lot, seems to have mellowed down now, but seems to be past it, unfortunately. Not really offering much to Ferrari in terms of results or anything. And I think we're seeing a decline of a great, which is really difficult to witness in front of your eyes, to be fair, but that's life, isn't it? Kimi Raikkonen, I would say that he probably outstayed his welcome in Formula 1 by a couple of years, really didn't care at the end, and he was even admitting, he was like, yeah, just here for the money now, I'm here to have fun, it's a hobby. And you could see that at times. You could see at times that he really didn't care. Didn't care if he scored points for the team. Wasn't bothered if he retired. It just didn't matter to him. And I think we appreciate the chilled out approach that Kimi Raikkonen offered, and the laid back approach and not giving a shit about anything really did, you know, cause him to become the character that he is, and it's a personality that he has. But at times, not being bothered really cost his team points, and that was a shame, because, you know, he's still paid to do a job at the end of the day. Fernando Alonso, I'd say again, that time at McLaren was very tumultuous for him, and there was a lot of times where he just parked the car up because he couldn't be arsed driving it anymore. And I think, well, you know, you've got a difficult car, but you're getting paid to drive it. There was it Spa in like 2016 or something? He just parked the car up. It just like, I'm not driving this anymore. And I think that was a little bit disappointing to see, you know, Alonso like that. We've seen a couple of times over the last couple of seasons as well, particularly with Aston Martin on the decline as opposed to the increase that they had in performance. We've seen him really frustrated at times and seemingly not caring. Hungary last year, I think it came to a bit of a head, didn't he? Where he's just like, yeah, I'm not giving a shit anymore. I'm really pissed off. Like, he just didn't care. And again, we saw that from him where he just didn't do what he was able to do. Even though that result wouldn't have been points, he delivered less than the car was capable of, and that was frustrating to see. So yeah, I think I've covered them all there, haven't I? But yeah, that's that. And question 3. Between 2000 to right now, which F1 car was the most dominant? In terms of 2000 to right now, which car was in terms of dominance? It has to be the Red Bull, of course, from 2023. That, on paper, is the most dominant car. Both drivers secured 1-2 in the drivers' title. The team wrapped up the constructors with several races still left to go. Max Verstappen and the team won all bar one of the races, just at Singapore, of course. And potentially, had they not put both cars on hard to start that race, one of them could have won us again as well. So I think they shot themselves in the foot with that one. Yeah, so you know, I think that in terms of actual facts, it is in terms of facts the most dominant. But then in terms of like which is the most dominant, I would say the McLaren this year has to be the most dominant car we've seen since that Red Bull. But the drivers haven't got the most out of it to be able to deliver all the wins that it should have had. So that's my thoughts on that. I think the McLaren car right now is the most dominant, and the fact it hasn't won as many races as all of them is a result of the drivers and not the team necessarily. So yeah, great questions there. Thanks, bud. I answered them probably in a little bit too much detail, to be fair, but there we go. So that concludes the end of part 1 of the questions of the Q&A so far. Thanks so much to those that commented, and yeah, look forward to part 2, which will come out tomorrow at 6 PM. Thanks a lot for watching, guys, and as always, much love.